Welcome to the SAS Viya Release Highlight Show. I'm Anna Brown, and today I'm not. I'm Tiago de Souza, and along with Kate Uveling, we will be taking over from Anna and hope to carry on her legacy as the show's host. I cannot wait to share with you all that's new in SAS Viya today. We will be looking at version 2021.2.4 and its updates, including new APIs and SDKs in SAS Visual Analytics, new information governance features, including Profanity Obfuscation. That's our word of the day, obfuscation. We have Teams integration with SAS Model Manager. And finally, we have a release talk with some product managers on SAS Studio Engineering. Now, I'd like to remind you that this is a live show with a live chat. So please feel free to yak it up in the Q&A. Tell us your thoughts, ask some questions, talk about how much you miss Anna. Feel free to do whatever. Here, I'll start us off with a question. What are your best tips and tricks for tackling data management? Let me know in the chat below. Your best tips and tricks for tackling data management. I'm curious to see what you'll say. But now it is about that time, ladies and gentlemen, for our first segment of the day. I give to you the rundown.
In this release, we've introduced the report recommendations feature to let you know about reports you might find interesting based on how others are interacting with those reports. We've added API and SDK capabilities that allow our customer developers to programmatically generate natural language explanations of their data, export their reports as PDFs and images, and more easily navigate content on SAS Viya from within their websites and corporate portals. There's also a nifty addition to the aggregate cells operator that lets you set the direction of the set of cells to be aggregated, row, column, or by date time.
In this release, we're going to look at few really useful and exciting new features. First is a visual for a run summary for the last discovery agent execution. User can now see the category of assets, new, updated, and be able to quickly click on a link and search and find the assets belongs to that category. For example, user can look at the updated asset in that library and be able to see what those assets are instead of be able to search manually. Another one is the date analyzed column. User can now be able to find data sets quickly that has been already analyzed, profiled, semantic identification and privacy has already been identified. Now they can also sort and kind of have the useful update based on the data analyzed. Another one is a keyword cloud, semantic analysis and language detection. This is for long text fields such as reviews and comments. Along the same word cloud for the keywords, user can also see the obfuscation of the offensive words along with the semantic analysis. The last one is the Egeria, where user can find relationship between the objects that has been evented to the Egeria and also look at additional objects such as reports, decisions, and so on.
Hello, welcome to this version for the new features for SAS Model Manager. There's a lot of exciting things specifically around Microsoft Teams integration. So when I'm looking at projects within Model Manager, I have the option to copy a link or share this information directly to Microsoft Teams, giving me the ability to collaborate with data scientists, modelers, and business users within the Model Manager application. This applies to not only projects, but models and their underlying files. So if I open up one of these projects, or in this case, select the BRM Dev HMAQ project, I have the ability to copy a link to that model project or to share this directly to Microsoft Teams. This lets me collaborate and communicate with individuals on my team about the status of the project and where things are, get questions answered, and be able to get information out to the teams more quickly. The integration is built directly into Model Manager and integrates with the team's environment. So I can select individuals on my team and then share information about the project, the model, or about the files underneath. And so I'm asking this individual, just check out some of this new information about our model project inside of Model Manager. This gives a direct link to that individual via Teams to explore inside of Model Manager that model project. I can also select the project and drill into it and see the models that make up that particular project. If I select that model now, I'm also, for that version, able to share or copy a link to this that I could use in an email. If that team member's not on Microsoft Teams, I can still share that information. This again is all about collaboration and sharing of information to be more effective as I build the models. If I drill into the model itself, I can also share information about specific items like score code or information about metadata about the model using Teams, or again, copying that link to share inside of either email or other environments if those environments don't include Microsoft Teams. This is pretty nice because now I can use this information to share across different groups.
That was Robbie, Kumar, and Steve for the rundown today. Thanks for talking to us today, guys. During the rundown, you might have noticed some links in the chat here. These are related resources. They all have my personal seal of approval. I mean, we have certified classics here, like how to build a custom environment in Python for reinforcement learning in SAS, how to create synthetic image data, and 5 things you should know about SAS visual forecasting. If I were you, I'd check them all out, but don't leave the show because we still have plenty more to talk about. And I feel like we have a special camaraderie here today. Lots of good people in the chat, like The Eternity 98, Kanan Nair. We also have people coming in from Ethiopia, Nigeria, Italy, all over the world. Great bunch of people, and I'm super psyched you're here with us. And hey, if you are enjoying the show, why not give a good old SAS smash on that like button? It'll help the Video Fairies algorithm, and you know how much we love algorithms here at SAS. But that's enough of me talking. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now that time to experience these features up close and personal and go deep with the product managers. I give to you the release talk with Kate Uveling.
Hi there, I'm Kate Uveling, and I am so excited to chat with 3 amazing SAS experts today. We have SAS Principal Product Manager Amy Peters, SAS Product Manager Alexa Vodilin, and SAS Senior Product Manager Mickey Schaaf. Today, we're going to talk about the evolution of SAS Studio, SAS Studio Engineer, and DataOps. So welcome to the show, everybody. Let's just get right into it. What is new with you and what's new with SAS Studio?
Thanks for asking, Kate. We absolutely love talking about SAS Studio. And we've done prior shows before, but just to recap in case you didn't see the other fabulous ones. So SAS Studio has actually been around for a little while. It started out in version 9, and it started out and still is a browser-based app that supports programmers and kind of low-code people as well. And so what's been added recently are some new features in our ability to support flows, as well as our ability to allow people to create things called custom steps, which basically say, I take my code and I put a pretty cool front end in front of it that I can design myself without any skills, having to know anything like JavaScript or anything, but be able to put this front end in front of my code so that my users can then use it, point and click, and kind of run the reports and the analysis and the kind of data prep that they need. So what we're seeing is an evolution to kind of keep supporting both SAS programmers and folks who kind of want some help coding, but continuing that evolution to support even more enterprise data management functionality and being able to support the kind of transformations that people need when they're trying to productionalize their data processing so that they can do the analytics that they want. So what you're going to see coming more and more, and really what we'd love to talk about today, is kind of the next phase of SAS Studio, which is SAS Studio Engineer.
That sounds great, Amy, and I've used you for some of my user group meetings, and I just cannot wait to dive into this, and I'm going to bring you back and invite you to more meetings. I'm excited to dive into it.
Awesome. That's
but
great.
I also want to move into our new product, SAS Studio Engineer. So what can you tell us about that?
Well, I'm going to turn this one over to Alexei and basically let him tell you a little bit about the step that we just putting out this month, which is our new load table step.
Great.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you. So yeah, and Studio Engineer is indeed the next phase of SAS Studio and the evolution of SAS Studio Analyst. And we did introduce previously the first step in SAS Studio Engineer, which is called execute decisions. And this one allowed us to execute decisions configured in SAS Intelligent Decisioning in the batch mode as part of our data flows. And with this release, we actually introduced another step in SAS Studio Engineer called load table. And this one allows us to load data from source table available from one of your SAS access interfaces and lib names and load this table to the target table. So, and also specify multiple options as part of this process.
Cool. How would you feel about giving us a demo of that? Would you be willing to show us? I think that'd be cool, and I think Kate would enjoy that.
Sure. Yeah. So I think demo is worse than 1,000 words. So let's dive into this. All right, Kate, here we go. We are now in SAS Studio interface, and in order to demo new load table functionality, I'm going just to create a blank flow in here. And obviously, we also need some data to work with this. And for that purpose, I've got a couple of data sources. So I have my Postgres database and Oracle database. And what I'm going to do is to upload one of my tables from Postgres database to Oracle by using load table transformation that we introduced in this release. And clicking on them, I can easily connect these nodes. And we are specifically interested in this load table part. So this is our new functionality. And maybe I can quickly arrange these nodes as well. So, and obviously we need to specify the target location for this transformation, and this is going to be our Oracle database. And also in terms of the table name, I'm just going to do it with demo TJT. So, and more interesting stuff sits in here in options tab. And this is going to be our initial load. So, and that's why I would like to choose insert rows from one of our load techniques that are available. And later we will cover another one in here. So, and what is also really important and where I'd like to pay your attention, so it's these pre-process actions. And the intelligent mechanism of load table actually shows us only those options that are specific for our target provider. For instance, as you can see here, so we got this tiny pictogram which shows us that we are working with Oracle. And that's why I have truncate table option that, for instance, not available for Teradata. So because Teradata does not support the deletion of rows with truncate. So, and basically these are the main options, and of course I can specify some other of them. So for my output, I can do bulk load, I can specify how many rows I can commit at once. So, but for now, I think we are ready to go with these settings, and we can just click and execute this pipeline. So, data is loading, and here we go. We can, in this section, also click on preview data and see our data set was uploaded. And what we've got here is just a small data set with some closed SKUs, and they have item ID, brand, product information, and also some details about their current and new costs. And actually, what we are going to do next is we are going to upload the incremental portion of data into this table, into the same target table. And for that, I would like to bring another load table transformation on this canvas. And maybe just for the sake of beauty, let me quickly organize our pipelines into swim lanes. And this was our initial load, so I can actually pick up this from there. And our next swim lane will be updates, because we are going to update this table with the new data. And I can already hide this. And in Postgres database, as you remember, we have another table where we have some new rows and some new information. And let's just drill into this table and have a look at the data we have. inside. And in here, actually, we have already 9 rows, and this happened because we got 2 new rows with newer IDs, and also among other changes, so we got new prices for a few SKUs in here, and we are going to upload this information into the same target table. So, and for that, I can actually bring again load table transformation on this screen and connect this to my table where I have all updates. And now what we are going to do is to specify, of course, the same table for output. And in terms of options, I would like to insert new rows that you've seen previously with newer IDs. And I also want to update those rows that got new prices. And I can do this with upsert operation. And actually for this one, I would really need some identifier to identify the rows that should be updated. And in this case, this is my item ID. I'm just going to add this in here. So, and we're ready to go. So we can execute this swim lane, and this our new rows gonna be uploaded into the target table, and we can click on this table and see preview data again. I can actually expand the screen a little bit, and as you can see, we got new prices for these rows. So, and also the rows that with the newer IDs have been added below in this table. So, and this is how load table transformation allows us easily in the graphical user interface to specify different options for loading tables into the target destination. So, and probably while we're here, I would like just to emphasize one more thing that we added in this release, and this is so-called sticky nodes. And sticky nodes allow developers to communicate with each other, so when they're working together on the same data flow or data pipelines. And in here, well, we can actually write any information that can be interesting or important for the developers, and then the sticky note appears actually as part of near this table. And also these sticky notes can be added to the whole canvas or to the specific swim lane. Here we go. So this was our demonstration of load table functionality, and I hope that you've got the impression that this transformation will significantly facilitate data operations and data integrations that you can do with SAS in Studio, and specifically in Studio Engineer.
Alexi, that was great. I can already tell this is going to be a highly collaborative tool. Few questions for you. So it's so exciting to see the launch of a new SAS product. What value is this going to bring to our customers?
Sure, thank you, Kate, and I'm really happy to see you're excited about our new features. So, and what SAS Studio Engineer does, so it actually extends the existing functionality of SAS Studio Analyst and brings more sophisticated and advanced data transformations in terms of integration and data manipulation. So, and by adding these techniques, we allow our users to incorporate more transformations in their data pipelines, and also in as the final goal to get the single pane of glass in Studio of their data flows from the very beginning to the end.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Alexi, for explaining that. I do have one more question for you. How does this integrate with other data management products at SAS?
Thank you, Kate. That's a perfect question. So, and actually SAS delivers the unified platform for data and analytics engineering, meaning that all components are very well integrated, and also all metadata from SAS Studio are available in Information Catalog. But for that, I would be really happy to hand over to Miki to talk more about this.
That sounds great. Thank you so much. Mickey, what are you going to show us today?
So today what I'm going to show you is an overview of the SAS Information Catalog, how we can go out and we can find or discover, if you will, data sources sitting out in Oracle or SQL or Snowflake or wherever you happen to have your data situated or stored, we can actually profile that data where it sits. We can pull back the metadata about all of those tables, right? So now we've got an interface for users to quickly and easily go in and search in a Google-esque fashion, whether it's 5 tables or whether it's 10,000 tables, to find the data that they want to use for downstream analytics. And then to go back to what Alexi was saying, we also have the ability, because we're a unified platform, we have the ability to capture all of the metadata that is being generated in SAS Studio, as well as metadata that's being captured and generated in intelligent decisioning or wherever within the platform. And we pull it all together so that we can actually see graphically how everything fits together. It's a very exciting platform that's going to allow folks to really go through and figure out what assets they actually do have that they can bring to bear for downstream analytics.
That sounds great. It sounds like everybody could be a little more organized. So what do you say we jump in and check out the demo?
So here's our information catalog. Inside of the information catalog, you'll notice a couple of things. The first thing is we have the ability to look at all of my data, right? But more importantly, we have the ability to automatically crawl all of the data. So we have 2 icons over here. The one that I'm going to click on now is my discovery agent. The discovery agent is really great because anything that SAS can connect to, SAS can crawl. And by crawling, what I mean is we have automated sniffers that will go out, whether it's Snowflake or SQL Server or Teradata or S3 bucket, it doesn't make any difference. If I can connect to it, I can go out and I can look for all the different tables that are sitting out there, whether it's 5 tables or whether it's 5,000 tables. It makes no difference to us. Once we've discovered those tables, we're going to go through those tables and we're going to do a profile of those tables. We're also going to run those tables through a quality check. Those 2 things will be pulled back as part of the metadata about that table into the catalog. Once it's in the catalog, I have the ability to go through and do a search using natural language processing. So now I can literally say, hey, I'm looking for customers in the UK, or I'm looking for customers in San Francisco, or I'm looking for customers in California and Texas and North Carolina, right? It's very Google-esque, but it allows us to go through and pose a question, throw it out to the service, and then it will bring back the results. You can see here I've got some recent searches that I've done. And so in this situation, I've got customers from the UK. Now I have the ability to click on this and it's going to open up that table, right? The metadata about the table. And it's going to show me a couple of things. First off, it's going to show me a row count. Every time you see one of these dots, that's where we actually did a crawl action, right? So we've crawled through this table multiple times. That's going to let us know if the table's getting bigger, if it's getting wider, right? I can always go back and look at one of those historical crawls if I want to go back and see what happened back in October of last year, right? So I can see things historically. I also have the ability to go through using my quality knowledge base. I have the ability to identify personally identifiable information. Right? So that's going to be something like, for example, if I click on this I, it's going to tell me that in this data set, it found an individual name, it found age, gender, it found a last name. It also found a state province. Now it's saying it doesn't necessarily know if state province rises to the level of PII, but it's giving me the option to say, maybe that is PII, personally identifiable information, and maybe I need to go ahead and tag that as such. The reason we want to tag these things is because that's going to allow us to go through and start to protect that data downstream as folks are doing analytics on it. Hey, if I've got a social security number, if I've got a cell phone number, if I've got a date of birth, maybe I don't want to expose those columns. Maybe I want to mask those columns, right? So we have the ability to identify those columns so that we can mask those columns as we move through the process, right? Just to protect that data. Now, from this main screen, what I have the ability to do is now that I'm done with the overview, I can look at a column analysis. The column analysis is going to break up that profile in a couple of different ways. It's going to show me descriptive measures. That's minimums, maximums, means, standard deviation. Do I have things that are missing? Do I have things that are blank? It's going to show me how many values do I have in those columns, right? All the information that I'm going to care about. I also have the ability to go over to the metadata measures. This is where I'm actually going to look at things like the type of data, right? And the length of the data. And it's going to tell me what it came in as and what it really should be. So for example, maybe my data type came in as a character, but I'm looking at a date field. So I need to know that that really should be categorized as a date type as opposed to a string type. So those are things that I'm going to be able to identify through the metadata measures. The last tab over here is my data quality measures. The data quality measures are actually using what we call our quality knowledge base under the cover. This allows me to go down to the column level, and now I can start to do things like parsing. I can do standardization. I can do token identification. So maybe, for example, my table is just column 1 through column 47. Well, I could use the field content identification to actually go through and say, you know what, when I look at those values, it's not column 2, it's actually a date field. It's not column 7, it's actually a name field, right? So the quality knowledge base is going to help me identify what are in those columns, even if I don't have appropriate column headers, right? So this is allowing me to go through and start to identify things. This is also going to allow me to come up here and start to build out a completeness score. So do I know that I've got good solid values, fit for use values, if you will, in my different columns to build out that composite completeness score. Okay, so these are the kinds of things that I can do. I also have this third tab so that I can go through and I can look at a sample of the data set. This is the ultimate way for me to look at this data and know that I've got a data set that I want to use in my downstream analytics. Right? So these are some of the things that I can do inside of my catalog. Very easy to go through and find different parts and pieces of the different data sets sitting out in Snowflake or SQL Server, what have you. It also is going to allow me to start to tie this data set back to different processes that are happening downstream. So if I've got a data studio job, or if I've got a studio engineer job, I can go through and I can actually start to show you that this data set is running through or being processed by studio engineer. Okay? So that's really what I'm getting out of the catalog, is a way to go through and identify data, decide that I want to use that data in my downstream analytics, right? Know that it's fit for use, and then I can take it to the next step, and I could take this data over into something like Studio Engineer so that I could start to build out all of those jobs to pull all these different data sets together so that they're an analytics ready data set that I can do my analytics on or my visualizations on.
Great stuff, Mickey. Thank you so much for running through that, and also appreciate you breaking down the acronyms. I did want to ask you, what value does this integrated data management approach bring to our users?
So that's a really, really good question. In my mind, the biggest value that we're bringing to the customer is the fact that, again, from source to target, not only can I find the data that I want to use, I can make sure that the data is fit for use, right? And then I have the ability to track where and when I'm using that data across the organization throughout all of my different jobs.
That sounds great. Thank you. I know it's going to be a very useful tool and people are going to jump on board. Could you tell me also what other integration or connection points that you all do with SAS Studio?
That's a great question. Unfortunately, I'm going to throw that over to Amy so that she can answer that.
Unfortunately, come on. I love talking about that stuff.
Fortunately,
so
yeah.
This is actually of course, what I like talking about Studio, you just give me, you can't stop me. So the idea here is it fits nicely into something that a lot of people are talking about now, DataOps. And one of the great integration points that we've already put out, which actually is both available in Viya and version 9, is an integration with Get, which is a source management system. Lots and lots of people are using it. It's a really nice way for people to collaborate when they are coding together. Basically, think checking things in and out, pushing and pulling, doing diffing, trying to make sure that what's being productionalized is solid. And so take that kind of get integration and then expand it on to more plans that we have to further support our whole DataOps message and being able to do more about, like something Alexi mentioned earlier, orchestration, and being able to say, all right, I've got all these different assets that I have to pull together. I want to make sure that I can test things in an automated fashion, that I can put things out in CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous delivery. We just have so many plans to kind of make SAS Studio and the whole SAS platform fit into either the DataOps processing that you're doing already with other tools, or to actually let use SAS as the way of both orchestrating and operationalizing the work that you're doing. So there's an awful lot going on, and I'm hoping you'll invite us back to future shows so we can show you even more as this continues to progress release by release.
We certainly will. Love hearing all your enthusiasm about all of this, and would love to have you back in the future. We can't wait to get you back on board. Thank you all so much for sharing these updates, and we will be on the lookout for more to come on SAS Studio Engineer.
Thanks, Kate. Great stuff. That was very informative. Lots of guests today as well. That was Amy, Alexi, and Mickey telling us what's what with SAS Studio Engineer. I misspoke earlier, SAS Studio Engineering. Nope, it's SAS Studio Engineer. All good things must come to an end, and we have come to the end of our show, but this isn't the end for you in terms of what we talked about. If you check the description, there are plenty of resources to sink your teeth into. And this is a monthly show, so our time apart won't be forever. You can subscribe to the SAS Users YouTube channel to get notified on when the April show will be. But for now, I've been Tiago de Souza. Keep on obfuscating your profanity, and I will see you next month.